On podcast, it's the Sutton podcast.
And there it is! Sutton United of the GM Vauxhall Conference have put out First Division Coventry City, winners of the FA Cup themselves less than 2 years ago. And what a moment to enjoy for the fans of this Surrey side. They've had their moments before, but never one like this.
But the whistle goes down. Delight for Sutton United. Sutton United, the National League, are through to the last 16 of the FA Cup. No longer English football's perennial non-league club. A 123-year crescendo reaches a new peak for Sutton United, who are promoted to the Football League for the first time.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Sutton United Talk Time on podcast. You can hear us on all the... Well, we're not live this morning. I don't know why I started yelling on that, but never mind. I was going to say you can catch us on Facebook and Twitter and all the rest of it at Sutton Podcast, but we're not live this morning, so I don't know why I did that. Joining me today, we have got Sarah, who went up to Grimsby for us. Well, not for us, for herself, really. Hi, Sarah. You all right?
Hi, yeah, I'm good. You all right?
Yeah, very well, thank you. So you're at the very exciting Grimsby match. Disappointment almost straight away with the thing I put out about all the food. And, oh, that looks yummy. That looks nice. And then, oh, yeah, that's not for us. So I did hear about the food. There was a review from Gandemonium. It wasn't one for kids, but...
It was exactly what I thought they'd be offering away fans, to be honest. I don't eat at football myself, but I was a bit annoyed on behalf of people who saw the delightful tweets about the beautiful food they had, and I thought they're going to be disappointed. That's not for away fans.
But other than that, it's a new ground for us, as far as I know. Well, yeah, I do know. So what was it like? Is it big stadium? Was it good, easy trip up there?
It's one. Did you ask if it was an easy trip over there?
Yeah.
No, not for me. I had an adventure. Because of circumstances I won't bore you with. I had to go a particular way to King's Cross, which couldn't really be done because of the tube strike. There was no Victoria line. Normally I'd just get the train, the Thameslink train from Sutton up to St Pancras, but I couldn't do that. And it meant, to cut a long story short, I had to get 3 buses from Victoria to King's Cross. And some of those buses weren't, basically they weren't stopping. There was a woman at the bus stop who said she'd been standing there for 2 hours with her kids. Wow. And 2 of the buses I wanted went straight past without stopping. The second one was about the time my booked train was leaving. Google Maps said it was a 34-minute walk to King's Cross from where I was. And the next train left in half an hour. And after that, I wouldn't be able to book into the hotel. So I basically took my running shoes out my bag and ran from Baker Street to King's Cross.
Wow.
Which was warm.
Yeah.
But I made it. I got there about 5 seconds before the bus that had gone past without stopping, and about 2 minutes before the train left, and I made it to the hotel in time. So that was my journey, which was thrilling. I got a lift back with the lovely Andy, which was a relief. So yeah, that was my journey up. Grimsby's ground is one that I'd been wanting to do for quite a long time. We've kept missing each other, us and Grimsby, because of various promotions and relegations. So it's nice to finally be in the same league. So yeah, it was nice to tick that one off. It's it is a big ground. It's very sort of old school. It has got the oldest stand in the Football League, as you probably know. And it's an interesting ground. I liked it, actually.
Good. And for the match, were you, when the lineup was announced, it was obviously Will was back on the bench and Kobe back in the team. It's probably about as strongest as we could field at that point. Were you fairly confident going into it, or?
Yeah, I mean, there were no surprises with the team lineup. I wasn't sure what to expect because obviously Grimsby had just promoted. We never played them before, and I was really hoping we'd managed to nick the points. But I wouldn't say I was confident of it. But if you'd asked me before the game, I probably would have been pretty happy with the draw, to be honest.
Yeah, I think an away draw, you're always gonna take that if you get the chance. But exactly. there were chances. I mean, it wasn't a game most thrilling game. I think their manager has come out and said it was one of the worst games of football ever.
It's really funny. It's really funny that I actually quite enjoyed the game. I thought it was pretty entertaining. Both sides kind of there were periods where it was really kind of end to end. There were periods where we were really pressuring them. There were periods where they were really pressuring us. And Sutton fans I've spoken to, they've all said, yeah, that was a decent game of football. I mean, it just because it didn't have any goals doesn't mean it was a rubbish game. There were times when either side could have scored goals, and just because those goals were saved or disallowed in one case, or hit the woodwork or whatever, it's still the same game as it would have been if they'd have gone in, if you know what I mean. And the home fans that I spoke to, they all thought it was an awful game, but the away fans that I've spoken to all think it was quite a good game. And I think maybe the difference is if you're travelling away, to keep a clean sheet and get a point is a decent result. Whereas if you're the home side, it probably looks quite different. So yeah, maybe that's what it is. I don't know.
Yeah, it's down to maybe expectations and anticipation of the match, and then it's not living up to those. But there were, as you say, lots and lots of chances. I think probably our best was Joe's goalwood header, which their defender wasn't even facing. It bounced off his head. So
yeah, that was a bit frustrating, that one.
How can you do that? Josh seemed to be on fire for the first bit.
Yeah.
Enzi, I think, grew into it a little bit, but someone who did receive a little bit of criticism, not from me, because obviously I don't do that, but start of the season, basically on the fact that his name wasn't Dino. Jack seemed to have a great game yesterday.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, if you'd asked me after an hour who's the best Sutton player on the pitch at the moment, I might have said Craig Eastman, or I might have said it was a toss-up between him and Jack. But then in the sort of the last part of the game, Grimsby put a lot of pressure on us, and Jack pulled off some outstanding saves. He was solid. It wasn't just the saves themselves. He was had everyone well organised and everything at that point. And I think that was easily his best game in the Sutton shirt so far. It's boring to name your goalkeeper as man of the match in a 0-0 draw, but in this case, I think he'd be well served.
Yeah, no, it wasn't just from what I was hearing the saves. There was confidence there. Yes, in the first half, the kicking wasn't so great, but that was probably more to do with the wind. But
it was a bit frustrating after a few of those. We were thinking, why doesn't he just keep it lower? Because the wind is taking it every single time. But then it was. I think it was easier in the second half because of the wind direction anyway.
Yeah. Or aim towards the centre circle and then it will go out because that's what it's doing for you. But no, he sounded like he had a great game. Lots of one-on-ones, and obviously the best one, and his now new best friend Rob Milson playing in this exquisite through ball. From what I've heard, how was your heart at that point?
Oh, honestly, there were a few moments like that. In fact, in either direction, there were moments where I was sure we were about to score. There were moments where I was sure they were about to score. So yeah, like I said, I don't see how anyone could say that was a boring game, to be honest.
I'm not sure he said it was boring. I think he said it was the worst. I didn't write it down, but I think he said the worst.
No, that's fair. One of the Grimsby fans that I spoke to said he didn't say it was a boring game either. He just said he was just criticising our style of play.
Yeah. I mean, I saw one on there that. Dirty Sutton, and then when you look at it, they had more fouls, more yellow cards than we did. So it's like, okay, that's fine.
They would probably pin that on the referee, which obviously you can't do that because they balance out, don't they?
Well, that was another little mention in loads of people moaning about the referee yesterday, and it's these referees are awful and they're shocking. They're even worse than National League standard. And it's like, well, this is a referee that was doing National League last year. He did your playoff game, so he was a good referee then. So,
I tend not to comment on referees because I acknowledge that as a supporter, I am extremely biased, and I don't think it's fair for me to comment on the performance of someone who's judging something that I have such a big bias towards. But having said that, I'm sure you were going to ask about the moment where the ball did cross the line and it was ruled out for a foul. And a lot of people there was quite a lot of debate surrounding that, shall we say?
Yeah. So yeah, that was in front of you guys, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So did we feel it was a foul, or were we all just kind of like, oh, we're 1-0 down now?
It was. I wasn't sure. I mean, I thought it was okay, to be honest, but there were a lot of people in the box. You know, I wasn't. It was possibly where it happened wasn't exactly where I was looking at that moment, and so I'm going to sit on the fence about this. Well, I don't want to get myself in trouble.
I was hearing that the ref was being a bit fussy in the lead up to it and telling people not to be pushing and pulling and all the jostling in the box. And then I think it's one of those that as the ball came in, they were still pushing and jostling, and he just decided it was going to be a free kick. And,
to be honest, I don't want to criticise him for that, because that sort of thing should be nipped in the bud.
Yeah.
If he doesn't feel that that the players are kind of behaving in the way they should be, if he feels that there's behaviour going on there that could escalate into something more dangerous, then he's right to put a stop on it. And if players don't listen and carry on doing what they're doing, then I suppose it's only fair to penalise them for it, isn't it?
Yeah, I think one of the problems with that, certainly from my eyes, because as we've already said, we're biased watching it, is there's so much going on. How do you pick which foul? So it could be there's a penalty given, it could be there's a free kick given. I'd never be a referee. I'm not going to lie, because
I'll be rubbish at it.
Yeah, games would be abandoned left, right, and centre. That's not just my eyesight. It would be, oh look, you got a yellow card. Okay, look, here's another one. Off you go. Keep going. But it's a hard job. But yes, it sounded like we got away with another one there.
Another one, yeah.
as per Barrow. So we're using up quite a bit of our luck pool already. But you mentioned a few players. I'm going to ask you about who you think for Player of the Day. I did have a few nominations, one sort of bit not sure about. But so we've got Jack. Were you going to say Craig?
Yeah, I think he had a big game.
And have you got any others who you're thinking of?
Donovan Wilson did well.
Mm-hmm.
He had a few chances. He was clearly working really hard. You know what? That's what our team is. Our players do work really hard.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to special mention to Harry Buteman. He always works really hard. The ball doesn't seem to be falling for him at the moment, does it?
It is that little thing of I've watched games and it's just like there's certain things that happen that we're like 1 or 2 centimeters out. If that ball would just been slightly different, we'd be smashing it. We're running very similar to we were last year. I think actually after 5 games we're exactly the same. But we're going to give someone a very, very, very big beating soon, because it's going to drop for us and everything's going to go our way.
I'm going to be really unkind and say I hope that's Harrogate. I have nothing against Harrogate whatsoever, but I think so.
In fact, I think that might actually be on the trajectory for the Carlisle match. It might actually be around that time as well.
Oh, poor Carlisle. They're not going to have a great season, I don't think.
Yeah. Okay, so I'll put those out in the post. We'll have Craig, Jack, Donovan, and Butts. There is obviously talk. We mentioned Donovan. Loads and loads of talk about a new striker coming in. Donovan again had the situation where we're not quite playing to how we were playing for him. So he's a lot of time he's back to goal, holding the ball up, trying to turn and run instead of running in onto the ball just to stick his big toe onto it. Where do you stand on this mythical, wonderful 30-goal a season striker? Gonna suddenly come in from nowhere. No one's ever heard of him. He fits our budget and he's going to smash in goals for us.
Is he a unicorn?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Basically, my view on that is that I don't think that's the sort of player Sutton want, actually, because the way that we play kind of utilises the whole team more than relying on 1 or 2 players. And the way our strength is the way that that team fits together and works together, and the morale and the camaraderie and the whole team spirit thing. If you've got a player that stands out and he's relied on and there's a lot of pressure on him to score that many goals, I don't think that fits very well into that kind of style of teamwork.
Yeah.
And I think I always prefer to have a team where you've got goals coming from all over the field, where you've got players in different positions who can be creative and make chances and work together to put together a nicely crafted goal. If those are only coming from your strikers, then those players get injured a lot. What happens then?
Exactly.
We don't have budget to have a deep squad with a lot of players like that, even if we could find them. So I think that would be a pretty bad idea for us, to be honest. I'm not a manager. I'd be rubbish at that too, but that's just how I see it.
Well, Newport had that last season with Mr. Telford, scoring goals left, right, and centre for a short period of time, and then went off the boil, and suddenly they weren't getting the goals from anywhere. So you're quite right. Yeah. But on that, any striker we get coming in, I think is going to be an untested striker at this level. It's going to probably be a loan signing who could go great. But we've already got that. We've got Killian running around like a lunatic. We've got Tope. They're both. You don't know what's going to happen. I mean, Tope, what's that? He's been on the pitch for about half an hour, maybe 45 minutes, and he scored a goal. But what he did is he kind of falls into that category where you're saying that about being a bit sort of greedy for our team, because had it not been Jack that had pumped the ball forward and Tope then nicked it almost on the line to get his goal, which he's quite right, I'm a striker, I'm going to put it in the net. Had that been one of the midfielders putting it on a plate for him and it was going in, there'll probably be a bit of friction at some point in the season of gone, hang on, that's my goal, can you stop it? But we just don't know. I mean, there's apparently 3 players still planned to come in. We've got a goalkeeper, centre-back, obviously cover for Ben, and this mythical, wonderful prime Ronaldo striker that is waiting for our phone call. But moving on to the next game, we've got Mansfield. Obviously, they had a great season last year, losing out in the final. I have to admit, I wasn't overly upset because I didn't like Port Vale. I'm not sure I'll tell Craig that, but what's your feelings about the next match?
The next match is Pizza Cup. You've forgotten the Pizza Cup against Chelsea on Wednesday.
God. Yeah.
I don't really have.
No, hang on.
Oh, no, you're right. No, you're right. Sorry, that's my mistake. That's the 31st.
Oh, I thought I'd proper messed up my guest list then.
No, this is me. This is me being stupid.
Yeah, no. So we got Mansfield on Saturday, and that's all right. And then Chelsea the following. So yeah, Mansfield who had a good late running. I mean, we almost bumped them out of it, but what do you feel? I mean, they lost a lot of their loan signings.
Yeah, we did do well against Mansfield last season, but I don't know what that means for this season, really.
Yeah.
It'd be nice to beat him again.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we've got a full week to sort of work on the players that are out. Probably Omar will be back by then, because I think they sort of said 7 to 10 days for Omar, so he should be back.
I really want another win. I think we need a bit of a boost at the moment.
Yeah, I don't know. Have you heard Matt's recent interview?
No, I haven't.
He is a little.
I struggle to listen to interviews, to be honest.
All right, he's a bit happier than he was on the previous one. He was very flat, and I was like, "Whoa, hang on." But yeah, so any thoughts? What do you reckon? I mean, I know you're saying hopefully for a win, but are you at this stage, a week ahead of time, are you confident we're going to win, or do you think that that's going to be another scrappy game?
I'll be more confident with Omar back. We're not really scoring the goals at the moment, so that's the trouble, really. Yeah, narrow win, perhaps.
Narrow win. Okay, lovely. That kind of pretty much covers everything I've got. Unless, I mean, obviously you do all the Her Game 2 work for the club as well. And I know I've been whinging and moaning last season that we didn't have any sort of excitingness going on. What excitement is coming on later in the season? Have we got anything planned yet? Or
yeah, we have got our Her Game 2 dedicated fixture on the 3rd of September, which is the home match against Harrogate, and that is the one reason why I said I hope it was going to be clashing. a nice.
Do you know what? I was like, that's a little bit out of character. I hope it's Harrogate.
No, I have no. Like I said at the time, I have absolutely no problem with Harrogate whatsoever. I have no problem with them as a club. I have no problem with them as a team. But I just want us to win that day. And it just happens that it's them we're playing. So what we're going to do that day, the details haven't quite been finalised yet, but we're going to be sort of raising awareness of the campaign at the match and showing everyone kind of who we are and what we do. So the campaign is sort of actively working to stamp out sexism and misogyny in football, which is there is unfortunately still a lot of that directed at female football fans, making us feel that we don't belong at games, sexist chanting that puts women off going. We don't want to put half of our potential fan base off coming to see us. We want to be an inclusive club that people want to come and see because they feel comfortable with us. So we want to spread a bit of awareness about that so people know what we do. The other thing that we do is we sort of promote grassroots football for girls because it kind of applies to playing football as well. A lot of, even now in 2022, a lot of young girls are kind of told that football is for boys. Even if they're not explicitly told that, that's kind of the message they get from a lot of the sort of attitudes out there. So we kind of like to promote kind of ways that girls can get into football and stuff like that. So there will be stuff going on at that game.
Excellent.
I shall let you know when all the details are ironed out, so we know what to expect. And it will be good to see as many people there as possible.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I don't know. I'm now trying to think, will I bring Rosie to that game? My selfishness says no because I want to watch it, but I think Josh, my nephew's coming with me now, so
he can babysit.
Yeah, he can look after it. Yeah,
I'll have my girls there, of course.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. So, yeah, again, just on the campaign, obviously, I've said it quite a lot, and I go on about it quite a bit. So, it is important, but the very, very, very important thing of this, and they did very well when they chose the name, is those last three letters, the 2. It's not taking over the game that means you can't go to football anymore. It just means it's as you said, for everyone. Let's just try and be sensible. Yes, even I, who try and do things right, will say certain things and go, oh yeah, actually, you know what, in the cold light of day when that's written down and repeated back to me that I don't like what I said there. And I will always be defensive. I've said that before. If I say something wrong, it'll be defensive. It's generally not meant. But there were some, I can't remember whose game it was actually yesterday. There was a female referee and I saw some guys, and this is where it's good. You've got lots of people realising they're allies. Nothing to do with her game too. They weren't tagging them in. They were just going absolutely furious that these people were abusing the referee simply because she was a woman. And it was like, yeah, have a go at the referee. No problem there. Absolutely fine. Go for your life. But all the sexist stuff, you don't need to tag onto it because there's just no need. But that'll be really good. I'm really glad I asked that question now. I was floundering to finish the interview. So that is in... Oh, so it's after the Mansfield games, after the Pizza Cup. So we've got 3 home games in a row now. That'll be excellent. So I'm going to just say, if anyone's got any questions about her game too, send them to me or to Sarah, and I'll pass them on, and Sarah will get your answers, or approach Sarah at the game. Yeah. Yeah.
Please, yeah. I'm what's called the ambassador for our club.
The ambassador. Absolutely.
Which is basically the club's nominated representative to be a link person between the club and the campaign. And I'm more than happy to talk to anyone who wants to ask any questions about it, or just wants to talk about it, or if you ever witness any sexist behaviour at football, or if you are on the receiving end of it, please do come and talk to me about it, because it's really important that we have those conversations. Otherwise, it's not going to go away.
No, it's absolutely not. And talking about the promoting it at all levels, by the time this goes out, the ladies' game will be over. But the reason we're doing this nice and early for me, thank you very much, is that I'm shooting off to watch the opener at County Green Lane in a couple of hours. So that by the time I do the next interview, by the time this goes out, you'll know the result. But hopefully we've got a nice, good result there. And have any of the girls, ladies, women there got involved in it with you, or not yet on the ladies' side?
Yeah, there's been some contact. We haven't. We're looking at trying to sort something out for the Harrogate game with them. We don't know yet.
Excellent, lovely. Well, thank you very much for your time. I'll let you get on with the rest of your Sunday. Oh, actually, before we go, let us know how did the bake sale go. I know the cakes were very, very tasty because I had some, but how did you get on with the amount raised and so on?
Oh, thanks for asking. Yeah, the bake sale for Dementia UK went really, really well, actually. We took over £200 on the day. There was an awful lot of baking done, so I'm quite glad we got so many people down. And in total, including online donations, I've managed to raise over £600, which I'm really impressed with everyone. Everyone has been really, really generous. So yeah, it went great. Thanks for asking.
Cheers. Thank you very much, Sarah. That's excellent news from the amount raised for the Dementia UK in your cake sale. And as I said before, they were really, really nice. So if anyone's missed out on that, please make sure you grab some cakes from Sarah next time. Joining me now to look ahead to the next match, you know what I mean, hopefully, is Craig from Mansfield Matters. Thank you for taking the time to listen to Sutton United Talk Time on podcast, the Sutton Podcast. If you are new to the show, hello, and you are very welcome. Hope you enjoy what we do. It's a very simple format. We get a few people on to talk about the game that's just gone, and then we preview the next game coming up. We are available on most podcast platforms where you can listen, rate and review. If you find that we're not on your preferred platform, please let me know and I'll sort that for you. If anyone would like to support the podcast, you can find out how with more information on the website, which is www.suttonpodcast.com, and there's a tab where you can find out how to be a guest as well. Please find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram and TikTok with the username @SuttonPodcast. Every like, follow and share is really appreciated. Hope you enjoy the rest of the show. Thank you. Hi, Craig. How are you?
Hello, mate. Good to see you again. Although I say that, I do mean it and I don't mean it because, you know, playoff final and all that. I was hoping we'd be a division apart by now and we'd just be sort of speaking in passing. But here we are, League 2 again. Yeah.
You absolutely wouldn't know this because you weren't part of the interview, but I've just said to Sarah, who I was speaking to a little while ago, I was like, well, it's a bit strange and much kind of pleased that Mansfield didn't win in that playoff final because I was quite not to do with their podcast, but to do with their fans in general. I was quite pleased to get rid of Port Vale. I was like, yeah, get rid of them, that's fine. But yeah, that must have been absolutely, I mean, strange for you because you got to see your team at Wembley, but you got to work it as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, just gutted. Let's pick at that scab. Come on, how was it? It's making him cry.
Well, you might, to be fair. I did actually cry on the day. I'll reveal that to you now. From a personal point of view, it was fantastic. You can obviously see behind me that I've got a little sort of Wembley memorial, lots of photos on there, my sort of press lanyard and everything. So that'll stay with me forever. It was actually the second time I got to commentate at Wembley because I'm fortunate enough to do it when I first started, when we got to the trophy final in 2011. We lost then as well. So I think obviously I'm the curse. But if I'm being completely honest, I said even before we got into the playoffs, I said before the first leg, I was speaking on the It's All Cobblers to Me podcast, great lads, that I'd be surprised if we even got to Wembley. It was a great journey to get where we got last season. I'd be surprised if we did end up at Wembley. We did. And as soon as I saw Port Vale win the penalty shootout in their semi-final, I said to the lads on the group chat, we aren't going up because of all the teams that we'd played last season. There were three for me, which I thought would prevent us getting promotion. One of which was Port Vale, the other was Tranmere, and the other was you guys, because for whatever reason last season we just could not beat you. So they were the three teams I feared, and as soon as we got Port Vale in the final, I just knew that we couldn't cope with their style of football. And ironically, this season that's what we're trying to emulate. But as a fan, it was devastating. Obviously, we've played a lot of the game with 10 men. Cheers for that, Ollie Hawkins. That's won't be forgotten for a long, long time. But we just weren't good enough on the day. And there are three things really, which stand out for me. The first is I managed to, on the day itself, bring a young lad who's on the podcast with me, Cam, who I've known since he was 14, 15, mentored him through media. I managed to get him on our media team. So it was a really proud moment for us. For me to see him, at Wembley alongside me and sort of completing that journey. The second was the experience itself. People were back home listening. There were loads of Stags fans down there, but I was having messages from people all the day, throughout the day, saying, can't make it, listening back at home, really feeling the emotion, that sort of thing. So that was a proud moment. I did cry at the end when it got to the full-time whistle. I felt my voice going and did cry again. And then the third one was at the very end. Obviously, being part of the media, you get quite privileged to interview the players and the manager afterwards. The player that I interviewed was James Perch, who is a Mansfield-born lad. Obviously, played at the very, very top level, but came to the club, a couple of seasons ago. Captain Mansfield on the day, and we were just both absolutely devastated. And how we got through 3-4 minutes of an interview, I never know. But we shared a moment sort of after where we looked at each other and just went, "Do you know what? It's been a day which we'll both remember for so many reasons on a personal level, but we were just both devastated that we didn't do it. But we wish all the best to Port Vale, and nice to see them, get a decent-ish start in League One. But I just knew we wouldn't get there. But it's an experience, isn't it? You guys sort of had the same thing, didn't you? You got to experience the big stage and didn't quite end well for us. So let's never speak about Wembley again, shall we? Put it in a box and chuck it away.
Well, we've never done well in playoffs throughout the years. Basically, we really struggle in playoffs. So pretty much, I think all of our promotions have been, we've lost out in the playoffs, and then a couple of years later we get promoted. But strangely, as we were going through it last year, I think around that Easter time we put you and Newport kind of like, right, got rid of them, and then we decided to lose to Bradford for some bizarre reason. But I was looking, going, right, we're going to be playing Swindon in those playoffs, the way it was working, and Swindon just done us twice, and it was like they same thing with Port Vale for you. They had it over us. I was just like, if we get them in the playoffs, I've just got this horrible feeling we're going to absolutely smash them, and then we'll go back to Wembley and lose again. But it was just a very strange season for us. It was really deflating. You can't help but be proud. But yeah, 76 points, which I think is the highest ever not to get into the playoffs. Just missed out. You would have, if someone offered it to you now, that you'll be in the playoffs, all you've got to do is win against a team who've got nothing to play for, and then have the teams first and second both going for the title, one of them to win, and then you're in the playoffs. You're like, yeah, I'll have that. No problem. That sounds great.
This is why I'm surprised that you got me back on, because obviously we essentially cheated for the last sort of 8 minutes of Sky Bet League 2. We were in the playoffs. We knew we were in the playoffs, but if we'd have conceded, you'd have been in the playoffs. And if they didn't need to score because they'd already, won the title. So I remember speaking to Nigel Clough afterwards, when they were celebrating the title and things like that, and him sort of saying, both on and off record, that there was a knowing bit of conversation between him and Rob Edwards, the Forest Green manager at the time, saying, "Are you all right? Yeah, we're all right. Are you all right? Yeah, right. Well, we'll just pass the ball about." But the problem was, every player on the pitch got the message, apart from our goalkeeper. So the ball went back to our goalkeeper. He's launching it out, trying to mount an attack, thinking we need to score. And everyone's screaming, going, "Fish, no, we'll just keep the ball."
Calm down.
But honestly, trying to commentate and trying to make it exciting on the last 4 or 5 minutes of play, when they're literally just knocking the ball around, which is ridiculous. But you must have been hating us that day.
Yeah, no, it wasn't just you. It was the Exeter match as well. We needed to go in our favour, and there was another one as well. But yeah, it was just one of those strange seasons that you look back and there's so many games where like, actually, if that had happened, I've found a video as I was clearing through my phone of a clearance that was actually well over the line against Bristol Rovers, and we would have gone 2-0 up at that stage. But in the end, we drew. So it's like, those 2 points. They would have been margins. We would have been in the playoffs, and they would have been in it as well.
Yeah,
but
I mean, you know what? You over the 2 games. If we'd have not conceded late at Tranmere, that had done it. But do you know what? I think for you guys last season, I know you must be hurt from it because you were so close. But when you reflect on it in 3-4 years' time, when you review the season, what an incredible campaign for you guys!
Utterly brilliant. It couldn't have gone any better. I mean, there's nothing you can say about pride, but it's just, it was just that little tiny close. And the same in the Pete's Cup final. We were talking about crying. I was standing behind the goal in my bright yellow coat, and it was 2-1. It was the 96th minute, and I was realising that I'm about to burst into tears here. If we win this, the Sky cameras are going to be on the fat man behind the goal crying, and that's me. And I'm like, oh, and then they scored, and I was like, no, I'll be the butt of everyone's jokes. Let's rewind that again. But yeah, it's just an amazing season, and the connection with the players as well. I know I've spoken to you about it before. Is every one of those players, every one of us knows that those players have tried everything, which it gave me a little bit of hope for this season, because a lot of teams have changed, a lot of players, and there's been a huge amount. And obviously, yourselves, you had loan players going back saying, right, cheers, off to our parent clubs now. So I was like, do you know what? We could hit the ground running here. We've basically got the same 10. Yes, we lost David Adjaboy, but we have got others that have come in. But we've essentially got the same players. They know each other. We could hit the ground running, and then we didn't.
I think we're talking about the same club, because we've done exactly the same. We've brought 5 players in. We've got the same squad. So
yeah, it's so far this season. How has it gone for you guys? Are you where you expect, or are you kind of disappointed?
There's the problem. Last season there was no expectation whatsoever, but because of where we finished, automatically everyone's now right. Well, you build on that, so that automatically means top 3. So everyone's expecting us to go out, start the season flying, and absolutely batter everybody off the park. Yeah, that's fine. We can do that at home, but away from home, we are absolutely nowhere near good enough yet. And I'm fearful for Saturday, because for whatever reason, last season you just managed to unpick us both times. But I don't know what it is. We, at the moment, have a few concerns. We are waiting on results on Reece Oates, who was our leading scorer last season, who was fantastic for us. Got a bit of a shoulder, sort of chest muscle type injury right here, which we're not quite sure what it is yet. Waiting for scan results on that. He missed Saturday's game at home. Will Swan's coming on loan from Nottingham Forest. Not got a lot of football league experience, but he looks sharp and looks tight. So we're not too concerned, but we desperately need another striker. Hiram Botan, we brought in from MK Dons in the summer, looks a really good player. He's injured. Lucas Akins, who can play up top, also injured, although our fans for some reason don't like him. I do. I think he offers us something different. And we've changed system this year as well. Instead of playing a 4-3-1-2, which was so successful for us last year, or a 4-4-2 diamond, we've gone with a back 3 and a back 5 with wing backs. So we're sort of playing almost sort of like a 3-4-1-2 or a 3-1-4-2, whichever way you want to look at it. It suits us, but we are playing a lot of players out of position, and it's taken a little bit of time to get used to. We're fine with it at home when we've got the right personnel, but away from home we've struggled. So the opening day of the season we went to Salford and we were nowhere near it, and we were absolutely woeful, and we're thinking this is going to be a really difficult campaign. Then we get 2 home games. We narrowly lose to Derby in the League Cup. We play really, really well. We get a victory against Tranmere and a 1-0 from a corner set piece. We did well. Then we go to Leyton Orient in the sweltering heat, and 1 goal was always going to win that game, which it ultimately did, but we weren't good enough in front of goal again. And then, obviously, the home game at the weekend, where we had the AFC Wimbledon game of the week, where we win 5-2, but we shouldn't have won 5-2. We were 2-0 down, and we were woeful. We got lucky by getting a penalty, and they got a red card, which, by the way, I saw got rescinded, which is an absolute joke, because if you strangle somebody from the back of their neck and throw someone to the ground, that's perfectly legal, is it, in the EFL? That's great. That's another rant for another day. And then obviously Saturday's game, where we played really well, to be fair, against Stockport. Game of a number of chances. We probably should have taken more of them, but we were comfortable once we got the opening goal. But away from home, I'm not quite sure. So we'll see where we are, but desperately need players in. So I think that expectation at the moment, a little bit like you guys, I think is weighing on us a little bit, and we need to put that to bed and just forget last season and almost start fresh, which is difficult when you've kept the nucleus of the squad, and Nigel Clough, even the manager, is going, well, we're just literally carrying on from last season and building. Now it's a fresh start. There are fresh teams in the league, all battling for the same thing. We need to refocus. So be interesting to see where we are. If you were off to offer me a 0-0 draw now, I would take it. And I just don't want to lose to you guys again today. Well, I want you to become a bogey team.
Well, we've been struggling for goals. We've been creating chances. I'm not really massively into it, but all sorts of people are producing XG charts, and we're kind of always at the top. And it's like, okay, where's the points from this? How do we use this?
Does XG win you a football game?
Exactly.
No,
yeah,
it doesn't. So what's the point?
Same as the away fans seem to be very, very, very important on the points and final table, because people keep mentioning that we don't bring many away. It's like, Okay, have the 3 points back. Sorry about that. But we feel, or I certainly feel, we are going to give a team a spanking soon because it's all going to drop for us. It is all just fine margins, and it's going along the same lines as last year. And we did get Paul Carlisle came and we absolutely ripped them to pieces. So Sarah, who I was speaking to a minute ago, is hoping, and it sounds mean, but it's hoping that it's Harrogate. Only because that's the game that's dedicated to her game too, and she's the ambassador, and she'd like it to be a really brilliant game and a great atmosphere for everyone. But yeah, it's one of those that we're slogging at the moment. So yeah, we're both sitting here going, yeah, it's going to be difficult, 0-0 draw. So I reckon this has got a 5-3 all over it or something like that. Just go the opposite. But what are your ultimate hopes for the season? Are you hoping back to the playoffs, or are you expecting just a sort of rebuild?
I never want to go through the playoffs again. Never. I mean, like you, we've never won in a playoff. We've been in 2 playoff finals and lost them both. Fortunately, this time we got battered and not lost on penalties, which was great. But no, I think we're definitely looking to build. I do back us still for automatic promotion this year, but I'm desperate to see us bring another player in. We're overloaded in midfield. We desperately need a striker just to cover these injuries. But I'm with Nigel Clough. He made a very, very good point the other day. Obviously, it's not great for young footballers and in terms of the development of the game, but it is if you use it in the right way. A couple of years ago, probably longer than a couple now, to be fair, they scrapped the thing where you could loan players in for a month or 2 months on short-term loan deals. And so now, when you're making a transfer deal, if you need to bring a striker in now, we'd have to commit to them till January. Well, we only need them perhaps for a month. They're going to come in and get football games. I don't see, why they can't. So I'd like to see that come back in, but it won't. And with that, we probably need to be a little bit coy. Do we bring somebody in for the sake of it to sort of cover for 2 months injury, or do we risk it? Well, last year we risked it a little bit and we got burned. I'd rather bring a player in. And as horrible as it is for them maybe not getting some football, it means somebody else not getting football. I'd rather us be covered in all areas and have one too many than one too little. So I've got an eye on the transfer window, but there's still, another week or so to go on that. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. But we desperately need another player. We can't keep relying on younger players. We've got to get them out and develop them. Otherwise, it's just going to be a vicious cycle. But in terms of my hopes for the season, I hope that it's automatic. If you were to offer me playoffs again, I'd probably take it because it means we're involved in the hunt and we've got a chance. But hand on heart, I think we are good enough for, even from an analytical point of view, looking at what other people have done, to be up there again. And I think you guys will be as well. When it clicks, a lot of people underestimated you last year. I don't think they will as much this year, but I think you've got enough about you to really mix it up and give it a good go. I would probably put you maybe just outside the playoffs, depending on if you get a run or not, sort of towards the latter end of the season. And I think if we, touch wood, manage to survive player injuries and what have you, I think we'll be up there again, maybe top 3. I'd settle for 3rd. Although in my pre-season predictions, I did put us as 1st, but optimism, you've got to, haven't you? You've got to,
optimism.
If you're like me, if you're fronting a podcast which is all about your football club and you don't back them to win the league, why are you even doing a podcast?
It's optimism, sunshine, a few drinks. Smash that, we're fine. We're looking for the mythical unicorn striker who's been sitting around waiting for our phone call to come and join us. There was a lot said about second season syndrome, a lot of people putting us down sort of 20th and possible relegation, but I don't think we did anything to surprise people last year at all. I think it was all based on hard work. Everyone knew what we were going to do. After watching 3 or 4 Sutton games as a scout, you'd say, they're going to play 4-4-2. They're going to get it forward quickly, and they're going to put you under pressure. So it's not exactly a secret or super surprise, but you still got to stop it. But you'll be pleased to know that we have signed Josh Nerfield on loan from Luton, and he is up there with David Ajiboye already. He is proper running people ragged. So I don't know whether he's going to get a rest or get to play against you as well. But he's definitely one of those players that make you get out of your seat going, what's going to happen here? And talking to seats as well, it will be all different from last time because we've now completed the sort of away end.
Well, it'll definitely be different for me because last time I came, I got the call at the 11th hour to do commentary. So I was new to me. I've not actually been in the Sutton away end yet, so it's all new for me. I'm looking forward to it.
You got the nice press box.
Nice, you're stretching it. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah,
I've seen worse.
Yeah, we're an old ground. We're fine. We're good. But yeah, it's all new. So Mansfield Matters, and there's a fan zone. I'm not sure exactly what time it's going to open, but behind the stand now, there's like proper drinks area and some ways you can get food as well, which is very nice. So looking forward to it. And yeah, I might see you on Saturday.
Yeah, you definitely will, because I'll be around this time, so I'll go out my way to come and find you, and we'll have a catch up in person. But yeah, looking forward to it. Looking forward to seeing how the season progresses, and hopefully when we talk in a few months' time ahead of the reverse fixture, we've actually, from our perspective, broken that duck and actually taken 3 points off you, or at least a point. Let's start small. Let's start small.
No worries. Take care. Thank you very much for your time, Craig. See you soon. And that's it for another episode of Sutton United Talk Time and Podcast. Thank you to both my guests, Sarah and Craig. Thanks for your time, guys. It's really, really appreciated as always. Thank you for listening. It's appreciated for all listens, likes and shares on social media. If anyone didn't make the game today, there was 284 people at the Sutton women's match, and we did unfortunately lose 2-1 to a very strong Fulham side. But lots to look forward to, and lots of good stuff ready for the new year. So hopefully I will see you down there. It was great to see a big crowd. Take care. See you on Saturday. Bye bye. United! United! United!